Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, day 27 of the WarbossTae painting challenge, and I've managed to finish highlighting the bone colour. It took me just over 4 hours, so not too bad. Just going to zoom in and show you a few of the models in a little bit more detail. It's pretty sunny today outside, so hopefully it's picking up the highlights. But yeah, basically I just went in and just did a general edge highlight of all the bone colour using the base colour, so that's the bleach bone, and I think it's looking pretty cool. Did all of the blades on the guns from the Raiders and Venoms. I did all the teeth and claws and stuff on the grotesques, and then on the scourges again just did all the little claws and stuff, their little toenails and that. Over here we've got the Raiders, those little blades, and all of the detail on that newer Raider. I don't not actually mentioned this in the past, but I have actually now stuck on the little bits and pieces on the side of the Raider there. Painted up the Venom little pointy bits just there, and the Talos and Kronos, and of course the Hellions, and lastly the witches. Painted all of the witches there. The only thing that I basically used a 000 brush just to edge highlight anything. The only thing that I did different was on the whips, where I did actually go in and I dry brushed the highlight on, but everything else done just with a small paintbrush. So that's what I've been doing today. I'm going to answer the daily question first, and then we'll have a chat about the next stage. So day 27. Great moments in Wargame. Tell us an epic story of the dice going your way. Great victory or heartbreaking loss at the table. We live for these stories as gamers and always enjoy hearing them. Wargaming, role-playing, or even a video game. Tell us a great story in the game. So, something that springs to mind which happened to me quite recently. You may remember that I entered Scattered Dice's competition, his little giveaway, and on camera I was going to roll 2 dice and try and get a double 6 as a little joke. Now I put aside an hour to record that video, and I actually rolled a double 6 on my very first roll. Now that wasn't in a game, but it reminded me of something as well which happened to me actually in my last game that I played, where my wraiths, they were 11 inches away from a unit. I shot into that unit with some warriors, and I pinked off and killed one guy, the closest guy, so my wraiths were now 12 inches away. So basically I needed a double 6 to get into the assault. And guess what I rolled? I rolled 2 6s, unbelievable. I mean, it doesn't sound very funny or anything now, but at the time it was like just an amazing roll. So that's my little story. Okay, so next, what are we going to do? Well, I have been and ahhing about this. I have to be honest, it's been a tough choice. I first of all concluded I had 3 things that I would possibly do as an option. So number 1 is to highlight the orange. Number 2 is to go in and paint the tabards on the warriors and also the grotesques. And number 3 is to paint the skin on the grotesque in my Dark Eldar colour. So those are the 3 options that I concluded. But whilst painting all this bone colour, I've really been thinking hard on what to do, because I've only got a couple of days left. Bear in mind I need to leave a couple of days for varnishing, gluing on the guys. Some of these guys have to be glued onto the Raiders, and also need to do the little tufts of grass and stuff on the bases. So I'll leave a couple of days at the end to do all that. So I've only got a couple of days left. So I've had to come to some conclusions, and although I'm not 100% decided, I just sort of run through my logic behind things. So let's start with the tabards. Now there's tabards, on the face of it, sounds like a good idea. I mean, they are cloth, and they will bring something to the army. But what's stopping me is if I paint the tabards on those warriors and then onto the grotesques. The grotesques are also sort of shrouded in some material as well, so I'd probably end up having to paint that material. I've already painted them some material orange, so then that wouldn't start to make sense. And then as we come over here, the HQs, they're wearing like cloaks and cloth, and then you've got the cloth banners and stuff, and I'm thinking, right, if I start painting the cloth in a colour, my initial colour would be green. I was thinking going in with a dark green on the tabards. Then I'm thinking, well, then I've got to start painting all the other cloth areas green. And I know I've got 2 days to do it, but that was just holding me back slightly because I like the way these guys are looking. I don't know that I want to go in with green and make them quite green. So that was my first thought. My second thought was the rat ogre or grotesques and their skin. Yeah, I know I'm an about this for a long time. I know a few of you have commented that I really need to paint the skin. My thinking is it's a tough one to paint the skin. There's so much skin. I think they might look just too skin-y. Too much skin on them. I think it's going to be hard to paint around all of the areas I've got to paint around the fur, all of the faces and stuff where there's so much little details that I'm not going to be able to paint. I think it's going to be a tough call to paint the skin, to be fair. So that's one reason that's stopping me potentially going in and doing the skin. The third option, which I'm thinking, is to highlight the orange. I think that might bring a lot to the army. I think it might sort of enhance it a little bit. The thing that's worrying me about highlighting the orange is having to then highlight the freehand, which I'm not 100% sure how I would go about doing that. I'll probably just have to like edge highlight maybe the bottom and the side line or something. So that's sort of making me think twice about highlighting the orange as well. So that was my thought process. So basically, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to sleep on it overnight, see how I feel tomorrow. I am considering going back to a comment that I had quite some time ago regarding these rat ogres, and that was to paint the towels in the skin colour. I think that might just do the trick, just add that extra little detail, get some skin on them as well. Yeah, as I said, there's obviously lots of stuff which isn't painted, but that was the whole idea of my base paint scheme, with the sort of dry brushing the black and then obviously washing it to give that sort of brown finish, so that basically anything that isn't painted does have paint on, so arguably I could say it's painted. And there's lots and lots of details. I mean, these Kronoses and Taloses, they've got skulls and stuff, they've got Space Marine helmets on. I'm not going to be able to paint those, I'm not going to have time. But I'm figuring that's going to be okay, because my idea is that these Dark Eldar have got some sort of technology that, when they capture stuff, are basically a bit like the grotesques. The grotesques have been experimented on. They've got drugs in them. It's changed their skin, and I'm sort of thinking that's what's happened. When they capture like a Space Marine, they put it onto their like spikes, and the technology they've got transforms them into this dull brown colour, and that's why I've got this like dull brown sort of colour on their cloth and stuff. So I think I can make it work. I think the story can work. So the conclusion is, I'm thinking about it still. I'm going to wake up tomorrow, see how I feel. I think the direction I'm going to go next will be to highlight the orange, but I'm going to have a think about it. We'll see. So a bit of a ramble, but these final details that I'm doing, I just need to think about them. So that's what I've been doing. Right, okay, so that is it after that little ramble. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching as always, and I'll be back tomorrow.